Hello, my name is Karen Magnus. I'm a senior one-stop counselor at One Stop Student Services at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. I want to thank you all for being here today for this presentation on investing in your future, an introduction to managing the costs of college. Part of what I do at the One Stop Student Services office is counseling students, current students and prospective students on financial aid. Big part of what we do also is providing outreach such as this to incoming college students or prospective college students, outreach to local high school students, so that you can make the best decision for your future college career. So let's jump right in. To start with, this is the agenda and the questions I hope to discuss and answer throughout this presentation. Financing your future. So today we're just going to go over the basics of understanding the college costs and financial aid to help you pay for college. We'll go over some things you can start with doing now as a junior or senior in high school and to prepare you for managing the costs of college. So some great questions you can see here. These are all things I hope to either answer or get you to think about throughout this presentation. So let's start with researching college costs. You can start researching college costs now if you haven't already. Although many schools will not have tuition and fees set for the 2021-2022 academic year yet, they can provide you with information about current costs. The admissions office or financial aid office are good places to start at the schools that you're looking at. All schools also are required to have what's called a net price calculator. These vary from school to school, but we'll ask you some information about your family. The net price calculator will tell you what you could expect to pay after financial aid is applied to attend that particular school. These are estimates, and your actual costs may vary. What good questions to ask about costs when you talk to admissions counselors at schools that you're interested in? When you contact the school to ask the questions about costs, it's a good idea to have some prepared. These are some questions to maybe write down or have in the back of your mind when you have these conversations. And you may have more that you're thinking about as well, particular to your situation. So what are the total costs of attendance for your school? If going out of state, are there reciprocity programs for Minnesota residents? Meaning, will your tuition costs be the same as an in-state student, even though you reside in a different state? Is living on campus required? How much is on-campus housing? And what are other costs? One other thing to keep in mind is, what about health insurance? Is that required to pay at the school? And is tuition charged per credit, or is tuition charged at a flat rate? Other costs to consider. The cost of college is more than just tuition and mandatory fees. What are some of those other costs? Room and board, transportation, personal expenses, books and supplies, to name a few. It is important to consider all of these costs when planning for your college expenses. How might the college or university you choose impact your overall spending? If you choose to go to college out of state, you may have greater expenses for travel. For housing plans, your housing plans will also impact your cost of college. Will you be living with a roommate or without? Living on campus or off campus? Living at home and commuting to campus? All of these things can impact your total cost. So what does college actually cost? This is information that was pulled from the Minnesota Office of Higher Education website. And so this is just a relative sample that you're seeing here. Not all private colleges are going to cost that, or they may be lower or higher. It depends on the school. You can see what the annual cost is for tuition and fees. Tuition and fees are the largest factor in how much a college will cost you. As you can see, they can vary depending on the type of school you're looking at. This doesn't necessarily mean that any college is out of reach financially, as financial aid will vary from school to school as well. When looking at colleges, cost is an important factor, but also think about your desired major, the size of the institution you want to go to, and any other important factors to you. What you see here is the annual cost of attendance. This is estimated, so do keep that in mind. But you can see the breakout for the annual cost of attendance for these types of schools. So community college, cost of attendance, private college, cost of attendance. You can see a pretty big difference there. Now do keep in mind room and board for community colleges. There are some community colleges that do offer on-campus residential experience. It's good to just check with them if that's something that interests you. How will I pay for college? Students and their families finance college in many ways. Some students will have family financial support. You may have some savings you can use, or you may work over the summer or during the school year. Most students also use some type of financial aid to cover the cost of school. We'll talk more about financial aid. So what is financial aid? There are 4 types: grants, loans, scholarships, work study. Most people don't consider loans to be financial aid, but they are. And we'll talk about each type of financial aid in just a moment here. But first, where does financial aid come from? Federal and state government primarily is where you're going to get most of your financial aid from if you are receiving financial aid. Schools, employers, and other public and private sources like clubs and organizations. So first, what is a scholarship? Scholarships are one of the best types of financial aid out there. The reason why that is, you don't have to pay them back. You'll be awarded these funds based on your merit. So scholarship donors may look at your GPA, your class standing, test scores, activities you've been involved in, or an essay you have written. There are thousands of scholarships available from a variety of sources. So where can I find scholarships? You can utilize online search tools. You can check with your high school guidance counselor's office or career center, community organizations, employer, high school clubs or organizations, and even checking with your college of choice to see what types of merit-based scholarships are offered. I always like to make sure to mention to avoid scholarship scams. This is unfortunately a very lucrative business, but please be very wary of anything that sounds fishy or is too good to be true, because it probably is. If you run across anything, don't fall for those guarantees or false claims. Instead, if you want to be sure, make sure to talk to somebody, whether it's a high school guidance counselor or contacting a financial aid office. Just ask the question, hey, I got this offer, what do you think? We will always try to guide you. I can speak from the financial aid counselor's perspective on the best step forward. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, and it is good to be suspicious of these types of offers. Preparing for your scholarship search. Prepare now. Think about all of these questions we have listed here. What do you bring to the table? What are things that you can use to leverage on an application for a scholarship? Think about all of these things, because it could be even the smallest of things that come forward that provides you a decent scholarship. Maybe start a log for the above information or other things that come to mind, so that when you are ready to apply for scholarships, you have the information ready to you. What is a grant? Grants are money that don't need to be paid back. We like that. But these are based on financial need. You apply for these through the free application for federal student aid. This is also called the FAFSA, the FAFSA, which we'll talk about in a little bit here. These are the most common grants that are available. You can see the top one there is the federal Pell Grant. The maximum per year a student can receive for the 2020-2021 academic year is $6,345. You can see the variety of other grants offered that could be offered as well there. The federal SEOG grant, this is limited funding. Minnesota State Grant, that is offered to Minnesota residents who attend Minnesota schools. And then institutional grants. It's good to talk to your college financial aid or admissions office to find out what types of institutional grants they offer. Work study. Work study is applied through completing the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. Work study programs allow you to work on, or in some cases, off campus to earn up to a set amount of money. You will receive a paycheck typically every other week, like any other paying job. You are paid with federal or state financial aid funds. If you have questions about work study options, what's available, how do you go about getting a work study job, please contact your college financial aid office. Student loans. You will apply for most types of loans, particularly federal loans, through completing the FAFSA. Loans are money that are borrowed to pay for educational expenses, and they must be paid back. Loans are available from a variety of sources: the federal government, state, college or university, or a bank. If you need to borrow a loan, federal loans offer the best options. And here's why. You will notice the interest rates on these loans. Typically, federal loans have the best interest rates of any loans available out there. I always recommend people check with private lenders if they wish to look into that, but you will notice that you are hard-pressed to find an interest rate that's lower than a federal direct loan. So what you can see there in the first line item are the federal direct loans. Those are the unsubsidized and subsidized loans offered to students. The interest rates on those loans for this upcoming year are 2.75%. Repayment on these loans begins 6 months after a student either graduates or stops attending school. A subsidized loan is a loan that does not accrue interest while a student is in school. The unsubsidized loan does accrue interest while the student is in school. The next line you'll see is the Federal Parent Plus loan. This offers a 5.3% interest rate for this upcoming year. It can be deferred while the student is in school, so you don't have to begin repayment until 6 months after the student either leaves the school or graduates. Please keep in mind that the Federal Parent Plus loan is an unsubsidized loan, so it is accruing interest while the student is in school. This loan requires a credit check for the parent borrower, and the parent is required to apply for this loan if they wish to take it out. And then alternative and private loans. These are any type of other loan outside these federal loans. The interest rates can vary because it depends on the banking institution you're looking at or credit union. And it depends on the particular borrower or person applying for the loan. Repayment can vary as well. Some begin immediately. Some do have a 6-month grace period like the federal loans, and some need to be repaid once a student graduates. Private loans may offer or may require a cosigner and typically do require a credit check for the borrower. How much financial aid can I expect? There are several tools out there that will help you get an idea of what you can expect for financial aid. We've noted a few here. We mentioned the net price calculators. Those are important to check into on the college websites you're looking into. But here are a few more. Applying for financial aid. So I've mentioned in a few slides the free application for federal student aid. The FAFSA is considered a student's application for most financial aid programs. The FAFSA collects student and parent income data, as well as other household information, to determine a student and their family's financial strength. The FAFSA will require parent data for any student that doesn't meet independent student standards, regardless of the parent's intention to help pay for their child's education. In addition to completing the FAFSA, the Department of Education may require you to complete a process called FAFSA verification. About 30 to 40% of all FAFSAs are selected for the verification process. It will require you to provide tax data from the IRS for both parent and student and confirm household size. The best way to prepare for this possibility of completing verification is to use the IRS data retrieval tool. We also call this the DRT, while you're completing the FAFSA. So this is a tool offered in the actual FAFSA form itself. It's called the DRT, data retrieval tool. The estimated expected family contribution, as you see noted here, that's an important thing to keep in mind. This is not the amount that you are expected to pay out of pocket by any means. What this number is an algorithm calculated by FAFSA, and it helps determine your financial aid eligibility. Schools use the EFC and cost of attendance to decide what types of financial aid you will receive. Knowing the type of financial aid you will receive at a school is an important piece of your college decision. You can start contacting colleges now to learn what type of aid they have available and what you need to do to apply. These are some really good questions to have in the back of your mind or written down as you begin contacting those college offices. So thinking about what kinds of scholarships are available at your school and how do you apply for them. Every school is a little bit different. They may just have one application, and that's through your admissions application to the school, or they might have multiple applications. Does your college or university have any grants for students? What work-study options do you have? Are there loans available from the university? When should I apply for financial aid? And how will you notify me of my financial aid eligibility? Do I need to fill out any other application other than the FAFSA? Where can you get help when you need help thinking about financial aid, completing the FAFSA, or any other question that comes up through this process? First and foremost, your high school guidance counselor is a great asset to you. They're very knowledgeable with this information and always great contacts when it comes to completing this process. Financial aid offices at colleges and universities are also happy to help. And the most important piece that I like to tell people here is do not pay anyone to help you search for scholarships or complete your financial aid application. There are services out there, whether it's your guidance counselor or at colleges and universities, that do this free of charge, and you do not need to pay somebody to do this for you. Here are some things that you can do to prepare now as you are beginning that journey to completing financial aid applications and starting that college career. Start thinking about what are some good financial aid habits I can pick up now. Thinking about maybe a part-time or summer job to save some money. Track your spending and see where you could save even more, and then create a budget and stick to it. This is a great habit to have as you begin your college career so that you don't have to start a budget fresh once you get to college. That way you have something in mind. You can always adjust once you get there because costs will adjust, but it's important to have this in place when you start college just to start off on the right foot. Start researching scholarships. Call the colleges you're interested in and ask about costs and financial aid availability. Complete the FAFSA as early as October 1st, prior to your first year of school. Talk with your family about college choices and how Together, you can manage the costs of college. An important piece to note is if you or someone you know are undocumented students who graduated or are going to graduate from a Minnesota high school, there are financial aid options for you. The best place to look for this information is at dream.umn.edu. The University of Minnesota has a lot of information for students looking into the Minnesota DREAM Act. So it's a great place to look for information on that. What should you be doing for financial aid? And when do you need to do it? Here's some things you will need to do and will need to think about ahead about doing them. So some things to think about is applying for admissions at the school or schools of choice. Apply for scholarships now and throughout college. Just because you start college doesn't mean that you should discontinue applying for scholarships. Even once you start college, continue applying for those scholarships. You might get something for your sophomore, junior, or senior year of college. Complete the FAFSA each year as soon as possible after October 1st. The FAFSA does need to be completed every single year of college. So we do get a lot of students who wonder, oh, I already did it once before attending my first year of college. You need to do it every single year. Review your student aid report for accuracy and any follow-up requirements. The student aid report is a report that's automatically sent to you via email after you complete the FAFSA. Respond promptly if your school requests more information. And then once your financial aid award is ready, make sure that you are responding to that by completing any loan documentation that you might need or offering any other information that is requested of you. If awarded work study, find a work study job and begin working once school begins. If you need more information, here are some great resources. All of these websites have a vast amount of information to help you either search for scholarships or look into different information regarding the financial aid process. I want to thank you all for being part of this presentation today. This hopefully was provided a little bit of insight for you as you are beginning your journey or in the midst of your journey in looking at college admission and completing financial aid applications. So hopefully this information was helpful. Please feel free to reach out again to those resources we mentioned, whether it's your high school guidance counselor or reaching out to your college financial aid or admission office of choice. They're here to serve you and help you make this big decision and want to be able to help you make the best decision for yourself and your family. So best of luck to you, and I hope everything goes well with this admission process. Thanks so much for being here.